everybody. Welcome to the Logistics Loan podcast. Today's episode, from staffing to simulators, building the logistics workforce of tomorrow. Today joining us are Hunter and Scott from the Davis company. I'm really looking forward to it, hearing the insight about the world of workforce, staffing, recruiting, what are the newest trends. Hey guys, welcome.
Hey, Jens, how's it going?
It's going good. I'm quite excited to have you. Thanks for joining us. And as I say, thanks for bringing in. So, what have we involved today? As I say, workforce development is the big picture of workforce development, education, and as well a little bit about forklifts, virtual forklifts, something I like to bring in from our end. So, please introduce yourselves if you like. I'm not sure if you want to start, Hunter, or you, Scott. Let us know a little bit about yourself and let us know a little bit about Davis, please.
Yeah, sure. Thanks again for having us here, JR. It's a pleasure. So my name's Scott Tassini. I head up the engineering sales side here at the Davis company. He's been with Davis just about 6.5 years now. Love doing it every day. Get to connect great people with great companies. So it's a passion of mine at this point. And thanks again for having us. Hunter?
Yeah, so my name's Hunter Cash. I've been with the Davis companies for right around, I think, 8 years now. Long time. My beard was not this white when I started here. But very similar to Scott, I love connecting great people with great companies to see great products come out. That's kind of the Davis niche, is that we're in manufacturing. We touch all facets of it. Scott and I both sit on the engineering side, which is kind of all encompassing. When I say engineering, we're talking supply chain, logistics, IT, as well as your hands-on product development folks and quality people. But that's kind of a little bit of a nutshell who we are, what we do.
Yeah, I mean, we got connected over Jeanette. Jeanette and I know us quite some time. Jeanette Blake, she cannot join. I think she is on a very much deserved vacation this week.
Yep.
But I
Sounds
think, and I hope no, I'm not tripping into a hole, close up to 40 years Davis company is coming up, right?
Yeah.
We just celebrated it.
Yep.
Yeah. This past week, we just had our semi-annual town hall. So we celebrated Bob Davis, who's still here. He's still very active within the company, 40 years. So it's an incredible milestone, just a tribute to him and what he's built here.
Yeah, that's really great. And I say, I really was not knowing you guys. I mean, I'm not that deep into staffing, but 40 years and what you are doing and have done, it's quite impressive. So, so let's see a little bit. So what we have done this year to come to a different point in tech training and talent gap, we added this year virtual forklift simulators to our training academy that we have with the Brookwood County school system. So we were supported there. We have stand-up and sit-down virtual forklift simulators, including in a warehouse. The virtuals are safer, more scalable, honestly more fun. You can do something wrong, what you hopefully are not doing on a real forklift, like damaging a rack, right? Simulating something. So how is it really, and that is always what interests me and what excites me personally about staffing and recruiting companies. How are you preparing your candidates? How are you seeing to provide the right candidates to your clients? And I mean, it's possible not a forklift simulator, possible it's some coding exercises. I mean, you do the technical recruiting, right? How do you screen engineers, blueprints? How is that really in your field?
Yeah, so I think here at Davis, one of the things that does set us apart from a lot of the competitors is the folks who are typically on the recruiting side have been in the industry 15, 20, 30 years in some cases. So a lot of that comes into the questions they ask, how they ask them, the follow-ups with that, and kind of peeling back that onion to kind of get deeper and dive into, that person, what they do, how they do it, and how that's going to kind of, connect the dots between where they are and where we're going to ultimately place them with a client. Some of the bigger firms that you might have heard of, the Adecos of the world, the Kellys, a lot of those are training grounds for a lot of recruiting teams, meaning they're going to be learning the skills, the trades, the tips, the techniques on your dime, right? So that's one of the things that here at Davis we really pride ourselves on is we're an absolute recruiting machine and how we can deliver candidates quickly. In terms of how we look for, in terms of upscaling folks, in terms of training them, developing them internally with our candidates, we don't do a ton of that today. But I think just in where business is going, I think it's a really great thing to kind of get into, where we can speed folks up, upscale them, and then ultimately place them with clients so they can deliver value much quicker. And it's a much more attractive product at the end of the day than somebody who's going to be getting trained on their dime. I think that's a great avenue to look into.
Yeah, and I think to kind of build on Scott's there, we pride ourselves on building relationships with the client, not just Scott or myself or someone else on our sales team, but even the recruiters. Our recruiting managers know our clients just as well as Scott and I do. So when they're talking to the candidate and they're asking questions and peeling back that onion, they're getting a sense for not only is this person going to be a technical fit with our client, but are they going to be a cultural fit as well? Are they going to fit the soft skills of the team that they're stepping into? So we pride ourselves on making sure that, hey, we're not only just giving you a person who technically on paper can do the job, but they're going to become a part of your culture, your company. And, I always tell people, I'm not looking for you to call me in 6-8 months and tell me, hey, so-and-so's gone. I want you to call me in 6, 7, 8 months and say, hey, I need another one because this person's so good, I've promoted them up. Now, as far as skills and trainings and stuff, we encourage candidates to further develop their abilities, to seek out training, seek out further schooling, further education, certificates, things like that. But to say we do it ourselves or we do it in-house or we offer anything like that, at this time, we just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it the same way. When we support our OEM customers, as an example, most run SAP, right? But unfortunately, SAP is not SAP. Everybody likes to bring in their own spice, their own developments, and it's very complicated for us as well to train our consultants on everything in-house. So, I mean, you are lucky if you work quite some time with one OEM, right, or the other. So you have knowledge, you can cross-train, but you cannot do it 100%, I agree. So things like forklift training, logistics training that we offer as well, MSSC certifications, gives a good foundation, but a lot of things need to be learned on site. I totally agree with that. So let's go back to pre-skilled or pre-certified talent. How important is it for you and your customer, example, that people have finished some type of education? Bachelor's, Master of Science, how important it is for you that people have certifications like a PMP, Green Belt, Six Sigma, Black Belt versus experience? Or is both of it the same important? I hear a lot of different noise about it.
I think, that to give a quick answer on that, Jay, I would be painting it with a very broad brush. It's very client dependent, right? So some clients, it's all about attitude over aptitude, meaning they don't really care what's on the piece of paper. They want to look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, and see like if they have that fire in their belly, which to your point is not tangible. You can't feel it. So like those are one of those things. And then the other side of the coin, there's several clients who they need to see, IEC certifications, they need to see ISO certifications, they need to see the, green belt, the PMP, whatever the case may be. So ultimately at the end of the day, it's every client's different, and we're here ultimately just trying to do what's best for them. And that's kind of the real partnership. The idea is the industry as a whole, staffing is very transactional by nature, unfortunately, because we work in a product that thinks, moves, and does what it wants, being humans, right? So our goal here at the end of the day is to get ourselves ingrained with our clients, learn more about what they want, to be a true business partner and be more proactive in terms of if we start to see a common thread of the last 6, 7, 8, 10 hires there, they all come from this school, or they have this particular background with, coming out of med device, and now they're transitioning into an automotive where they're relatively similar, stringent certs and standards, that we can kind of start to pivot and start to actively target those folks for the client.
I think that was well said. We come at it from more of a consultative approach too, in that sometimes the person who doesn't have a degree but might have 20 years or doesn't, the experience may outweigh the degree, and that's where, we'll show up with market data to support that. They say, hey, you're looking for this. We found this bucket of candidates who may not have a formal degree, but have been doing it for 20 years, can do it with their eyes closed. Does that make sense for what you need? Or is there, a reason behind this? And if there is, let's talk about it. Let's learn about it. So that way we can educate the market.
Yeah. Like sorry, just real quick, Jay, just, to piggyback on that again, the consultative approach is very important, for the sheer fact is, put it bluntly, some candidates want filet mignon, but they're going to pay ground beef prices. So it's all about, which I'm sure you're aware of as well, being, in that integrator solution space where there's, tight timelines and budgets. It's like, listen, this is what you're going to get for this price. So we need to either up the budget, decrease the barrier to entry, or, upscale and train some people in.
Yeah. Thanks for that answer. I think that is really important for a lot of candidates to remember that. When we put out job requests, and I think you guys can second it, for me it's always really important, read the requirements. Please stay into the requirements, but it's not that important, and read it if you have a bachelor or a master, or if you have the same qualifications. But if we ask for 5 years experience, stay somewhere in that range, because we are asking for a reason. And directly after college, a lot of people don't have 5 years experience, not everyone. But I think that is much more important. The same is, and I'm not sure you handle that, that we always try to put out a salary range that we are able to offer. I mean, we always have some room, right? Some room up, some room down. But if we offer 110 and you want 200, most likely it will not work. So it's fair to want to 200. Nothing wrong with it. Everybody can decide it, right? But it's stay in it. The same is like work requirements. We are open to visa sponsorship if we can for a position. I mean, I'm from Germany, right? I was somehow moving to the US years ago on a visa, so I'm more than open to it. But if we cannot do visa sponsorship, we can't. It's not that we want. And I think you really could put it together for candidates. Read the requirements, be open, be honest, apply, and see what is coming out for you. So I really like that you're not only going by the book, so more by the need of customers and of your own. So what do you guys think? Are we heading toward a new model where recruiters, trainers, employers co-develop readiness? I mean, as I say, for us, it's really what we are working on to give our customers and together with tier suppliers a better trained workforce. Let's see people that never worked in logistics, right? To get them a base certification in logistics, MSSC training program. Let's see to get them pre-certified on a forklift. It's not the same in the warehouse, right? But we try to give all that steps and support companies. And we work as well, example, with a staffing agency, but they're doing a different staffing than you guys, more shop floor staffing. But how is that for you? I know we discussed it a little bit, but co-developing readiness, I think, is an important topic, especially with key customers.
Yeah, I would think it's definitely an avenue worth looking into. The only concern I would have there is just the sunk cost of training these people on a staffing company's dime. So there's very few. I mean, there are companies that do full-blown solutions-based work, and they have people on payroll and kind of move them from project to project. That's traditionally not what we do here at Davis. But for certain individuals with certain clients, I can see that being an avenue down the road where hey, one of our tried true blue chip clients needs, 15, 20 guys with this specific skill set, we can only find 5 or 6. Traditionally here at Davis, we have a very can-do attitude about stuff like that. Like, I don't care what we have to do, how we do it. Like, let's get these folks in the door. So offering a training class to kind of upskill people and then delivering that solution to the client, I think is a really great avenue. Will it be the mainstay moving forward? I doubt that, but I think it could be, another tool in the belt.
Yep. That makes sense. What do you think, Hunter?
I agree with Scott. I think for what we do, it would be a huge uptake. But to say it can't be done, absolutely not. That is, Scott put it best. We're a can-do company. We are roll up the sleeves. We'll figure it out. And when I say we will figure it out, it's not, Hunter and Scott getting in a room. It would be a company effort all the way up to the president, everybody in between us, trying to figure out how we can make a solution best for our client. But as of today, yeah, it would be a huge hill to climb for us, but I think it would make sense in the future for, blue chip clients. I know we've done some testing early on for clients of very simple things that would probably match with that MSSC cert. But that's kind of what I see, what I would see.
So I agree. It's really up to the client. So if any clients hear that and are big enough, you are open to discuss that and develop a concept with them. What makes sense? So it's always what the market asks, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
So give like a little case in point, like some of our clients for designers, like mechanical designers, they'll give us access to their CAD test program. So we will screen folks, think that, they get past our initial screen. We'll administer their CAD test for them and then provide the resume with the results for the client to ultimately say yes or no. Let's bring them in for our interview and go forward. So that's just like one of those kind of extra micro steps. Or we'll do, PI assessments where some clients really like the personality index and can tell a lot about people, which they are surprisingly accurate. So we do those things today. It's just, again, it's not every single one. It's client dependent, whatever works best for them.
That makes absolutely sense. Let's have a look in how is your model really working? I mean, we already worked a little bit together, so I have an idea. But let everybody know what sets your approach really apart from others. I mean, you already told us a little bit, but tell us how your model works. Of course, not in detail. I think you have your secret sauce that you possibly don't want to share. What sets you apart besides being 40 years on the market? I mean, what is I believe, big step for a company?
I would say, we're kind of in that mid-market space. So there's, 20, 25,000 staffing companies in the US. The vast, vast majority are 2-3 folks in a basement or in a garage kind of doing it here and there. We've been doing it for 40 years. We're large enough where we could take on large projects and say yes to a lot of things. But we're also small and agile enough to kind of change with the times. And, it doesn't take an act of Congress to turn this ship, where some of the big boys who have a lot more resources and a lot more reach than us, it's kind of tough to move a cruise ship on a dime. Coupled with the fact that we're family owned and it's a very family first culture. Like one of the main reasons I'm here is, case in point, I had hockey yesterday for my oldest son, and there's never been a discussion of, hey, I have to leave at 3:30 to go bring him to practice. We don't have to ask those questions. It's I'm doing this. Like Hunter can attest that he's got 2 beautiful little girls at home, and he never has to add, hey, I have to take Kennedy to swim lessons. Like it's happening. It's not a question. It's go do it. You're an adult. We treat you like adults.
Yeah, I think Scott puts it best. We're kind of the last of the Mohicans and where we sit. There's not very many of us. Matter of fact, I don't know how many of us there really are in that 25,000 number. And I tell people all the time, we have the same capabilities as all the big dogs out there, but what we show up with and what we do better is that there's no red tape for me to have to go crawl through to get something accomplished. It's a couple emails, it's a couple questions asked, maybe pulling some other people in, but the service is much, much better. It's much cleaner. There's not as many hands in the pie. We can get things done. We can turn that cruise ship for you a lot faster. We can pivot. And I also tell people, sometimes when you work with certain certain firms out there you give 2 different level roles to, and the same recruiter's working on it, and they're vastly different types. Where at Davis, we have different recruiting teams broken up that handle specific things, and that's all they do. So when you call and say, hey, I need a data analyst, that's not going to the same person who's going to be working a forklift driver. That's just not how we operate. Like, I don't need to bog that person down, and the forklift driver person's probably got 10 people on speed dial ready to go.
That's true. I can personally attest to that. No, and what I really like, I say, we worked a little bit together, not that much now, but your guys' response time and the professionalism are what I really appreciate. And I'm not an easy customer. I can tell that. I have expectations. So I hope I point them out. No, but Hunter and as well as Scott, that's absolutely, as I say, what I can attest. Your response time and as well the candidates that you submit really fits at least what I ask for. So that's quite exciting to see. Sometimes it's not that way. Let's say it was that.
That's understandable, and we appreciate that, Jan. We really do. It's kind of 2 things that we like to pride ourselves on: is speed and accuracy. And I always tell people, and I think Scott says the same thing: if you haven't seen a resume from us in 24 to 48 hours, we're probably calling you because there's something the market's telling us that, you either have that ground beef budget, you want filet, or we need to pivot and make a move.
That makes sense. Yep. What was interesting as well, let us know a little bit about your flexible staffing, direct hire, and partnership models that you guys have, because I think it is quite clear and well structured. I think that's interesting for possible customers or even candidates for you guys.
Hunter, why don't you take this one first?
Okay, not a problem. Yeah, so we offer this. What we do is very, very straightforward, very to the point, and we want to, like, it's big on the relationships part. So however the client needs the candidate is how we want to deliver it. If you project based and you need a flexible workforce to kind of follow along, absolutely, we can handle that. If you want to bring somebody in and day one make them feel like they're a part of the team and give them your benefits and everything, absolutely. And again, that goes back to our recruiting teams of, the same people aren't working on that. We have 2 different teams, one that only works with direct hire and permanent placements, and then one that only recruits contractors and flexible workforce people.
Yeah, to piggyback on that, again, it's kind of that relationship piece. So we have the snipers, so to speak, on the direct hire, who are, the people pay us quite a bit of money ultimately at the end of the day to find them an A player, right? So those are the guys that we have a team dedicated to that, who are reaching out to folks who are heads down, banging out good work at their company, and they're not really looking. And we call them, pitch them on your company and why we think they could be a potential good fit, get them interested, and then get them in front of the client. And then on the other side of the coin, we have our contingent labor, where we, move them from client to client, or we find folks on that try before you buy, which is becoming a much bigger model in today's world, just because, yeah, JR, you can attest to it too. Who you interview and who actually walks in your door day one can sometimes be a different person, unfortunately. So that try before you buy is a really good model for both sides of the coin, where the candidate gets to try out you and you get to try out them and see if it's a mutual fit in 3, 6, 12, 18 months, wherever the case may be. And then our third arm of the business is we do sit on site at some of our larger clients and offer an entire solutions-based workforce, all the way down from the picker packers all the way through executive level searches, which all flows through a single point of contact, so we can makes it very clean and straightforward for the directors of procurement, global HR, things of that nature.
You made a really important point. It's not only for the company to hire directly. What I really like that you brought up as well for the candidate. There are some companies, right, that have nice mission and vision statements. Sometimes they are possible not even worth the paper where they are written on, with all respect.
Yep.
But that can make it really complicated, I think, for candidates. If I search one thing and it's really important for me and it's a promise, and then it's the far opposite of something, it's not easy for a candidate as well. I really like that you brought that up. So not a lot of people see it that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, we always consult with our clients on that front. I mean, even though staffing's been down year over year for the last few years, and just generally speaking, the market's a little bit more down than it's been in the last few years, we always consult them like, you are pitching your job as much as they're interested in you. So you really need to attract the best people. And the way to do that is speed to hire with intentionality, meaning quick interview process, explain the role, talk about the culture, show them what they're going to do, show the opportunity to work for you and why they should work for you.
Yep.
The long gone are the archaic days of the director sitting back in a chair. Why do you want to work here? Versus today, it's a lot more give and take. And this is what we can offer. We think you'd be a great fit. You could be a piece in the puzzle to get us from here to here.
Yep.
So it's definitely a lot more back and forth than it's been in the past.
Absolutely. And I think another thing Scott and I, neither one of us touched on, but he brought up a great point talking about the workforce solutions that we can build for companies. Another service offering that I've seen a little bit more of an uptick in this year than years in the past is a payrolling service, where essentially you find the candidate, you find the talent, you interview them, but it's still kind of on that try to buy, and you send them to us, we onboard them, we take care of them, and we send them back over to you. And I think that's been a really good utilization, at least I've seen this year, for companies trying to be a little more budget conscious and also making sure that both sides are happy before they ink the final deal.
Yep, that makes absolutely sense. Let's go a little bit. Let's pick it up where you say picker-packer solution. So on our end, as I said, we are seeing massive needs, not for just people, and it really goes, as I say, down to the shop floor, picker-packer, right? We want trained, certified people ready to go, and we had a lot discussing the same like you just said. Possible another person that is not trained, right, cost you, it makes no sense, but let's say $1 an hour, right? A very trained person possibly costs you $1.25. So it's a shift in the mindset of hiring managers or even companies that this 25 cents possible or most likely are well invested. You get the people up and running, right? You get your accidents down. You keep your delivery times. We here do a lot of automotive in the Alabama area. I mean, it's the same like you guys up in the north. And it's a fast-moving business as well in the area, and we're talking a lot about it, is we have sometimes more work than we have people. So happily, people are coming down, but you need to train your people. You need to keep your promises as an employer. As well on the shop floor was now the last, let's say, years happily comes more into the ears of employees, that they are treated fair and not only as a person, what is ridiculous, that is doing the job on the shop floor. With that, and that was one of our essential parts from the merger between BMX and ADA, that we both have the same values, that we are both want to invest in training, invest in our people, but as well work with companies in our training academy to get purpose certified, to help staffing agencies on the floor to get the people up to speed, as I said before, forklift simulators, logistics training. So we as well really focus on the MSCC logistic program. My colleague Nadia Dahlberg even was possibly the leading part of developing the curriculum here in Alabama, where we train, I think up to now it's already over 600 or 700 students in the last years that are in the workforce. One person, I don't want to name him here, but I'm pretty sure he knows who he is. He started when I worked at BLG on the shop floor over that program and is today one of the leading managers at a logistics service provider in the area. So it really shows the program helps. You bring people from the floor up if they want into management. So that is really cool, I think. And I say it cannot be silos anymore. I think we need to work together, from training academies, staffing agencies, and more important, customers. Customer, I even say provocative, needs to understand it. Of course, it's open to them, but I think it would be better to listen to us that I work in that field every day, and possibly spend this 25 cents extra, to come back to my example, to get a better trained workforce and be able to keep the workforce. So, anything to add from your guys' side?
No, I would say you're hitting the nail right on the head. The younger generation is a lot more about what can a company do for me versus what can I do for a company. And that might come off a bit selfish, but if you invest in your workforce, you show them the ability to upskill, cross train, show, the light at the end of the tunnel, quote unquote, to stop, come in at day one as a picker packer and kind of work your way up and provide a better life for your family. You're going to ultimately win the war on talent in the long run. The people who are investing in their teams heavily, offer training programs, offer outsourcing training programs, are going to get a better, more loyal workforce. And I'm sure the bottom line numbers will reflect that in years to come.
Absolutely. I think I love your example of somebody started on the shop floor, now they're one of the top managers. I think that is such a wonderful investment for a company. We all know, I mean, Scott, myself, and I'm sure you all know what it costs to have a bad hire, or to have somebody show up and wreck kind of what you're working on, what you're building. It takes one bad apple to spoil them. So the extra 25 cents, for example, uh, might up front cost you a little bit more, but in the long run, it's going to work out, and that's going to pay dividends on itself. So I think the more companies can invest now, and invest in who they have, and invest in training, getting people cross-functionally exposed to more than just picking and packing and engineering and IT, instead of siloing them, having them cross-functionally work together, I think is going to allow companies to grow faster and scale faster.
Yep, I 100% agree with it. So let's talk about real challenges and real strategies. So what is, let's say, post-COVID expectation? I have sometimes the feeling that COVID is bad how it was, don't understand me wrong, is still an excuse for some employers to shift things around. If we take home office versus not home office, or some other things, especially retention pain points, career path clarity for young talents, as we just said. So what is what you guys have seen in your market about it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, initially once COVID hit, everything was, siloed. Everybody work remote, work from home. Don't even think about the office. We're closing offices down. And then as we're starting to see the return to work, so to speak. So certainly in the engineering IT space, one of the first questions we ask and candidates are going to ask is, what's the hybrid policy, right? If there's some flexibility there. And most companies do offer that, which I think is a really great point in terms of, if everybody's got a family, right? So having some flexibility, but there is some to be said about being in the office, being around people, collaborating. Because again, to that point, the siloing, you bring in a younger intern, a younger upstart engineer person on the shop. I mean, shop floor is a little bit different, but at the higher level, when they could ultimately be coding in a basement or doing design work, but being around people and just by sheer osmosis, that person is going to pick up skills that they otherwise wouldn't if they were just everything was just virtual. So we're starting to see more and more companies go back to in the office 3, 4, 5 days a week. So I think that, to answer your question a long way, the companies that have some flexibility, whether they, require 3 days in the office, but they can pick the 3 days, or everybody's in the office every Tuesday, or whatever the case may be. I think those are the companies that are ultimately going to win in the long run, because it's going to attract the best people, versus the companies who are very militant about it, of 5 days in the office, no ifs, ands, or buts, or we don't have an office anymore, we're fully remote, which I think really will hurt people's culture in the long run if they're fully remote companies, because getting people together, breaking bread with them, laughing, the small little tidbits that you wouldn't otherwise get take years to develop virtually versus sitting next to somebody 24, 32 hours a week.
Yep. Hunter, what do you think, please?
I agree with Scott. I think it kind of goes back to when we were talking earlier about how to win the war on talent, and the days of the execs kicking back and saying, "Oh no, you're going to be here 5 days a week." I think we've all moved into this period of understanding. Everybody's got family. Everybody's got life outside of work. And sometimes that means they might need to work from home 2 days a week because they have something they've got to take care of. Scott and I talked earlier. We have small children. Sometimes we got to run and take care of that. Sometimes we got to pick them up from, daycare, take them to sports. Sometimes, people just need that day of flexibility for quiet to get things done. I think the companies that are going to offer that flexibility ultimately are going to attract the top talent. I do think there are industries where fully remote is probably just fine. I do agree with Scott. I think they're going to lose a lot in the culture. I think they're going to lose a lot in the talent. They're going to get a lot of people that might not be the best collaborators. But I do fully believe that we're moving back to a place of hybrid work, and that's going to attract the next generation of workforce.
Yeah, I think it's really important as well, and it's one thing I try to remember. People, think about your own career path, what you are choosing. So I see examples where we have a lot of office administrative people, right? Like IT, finance, HR, everyone that we have, right? Working in a big plant where we have hundreds or thousands of people that produce a product. These people needs to be there every day. Possibly they like to work from home, but they can't. So that is why I think this hybrid is really important, that people in the office understand, okay, we are 4 days there. Possibly we are 3 weeks on site, have 1 week off. Really to figure it out. But we need to get that understanding as well. And the next thing is, like you said, it's sometimes I miss the times where I worked with everyone in a big office, especially in our world. It's not simple. All my team members, all my colleagues work on different sites, different departments. Even if they work for one customer, they work in different departments. So what we try, at least once a month, have a team lunch, meet somewhere where everybody can come. It's not everyone. We have our monthly state of the company, our circle call, where everybody can call in. We are working on to getting, I said it earlier, an office closer to our main customers. We have it in Germany. They're our main customer. We try to open an office. It works not everywhere, but so that people can come with a small amount of time, a small effort into the office, right? And meet someone, like I said, because everybody has a private life, right? And I don't want to drive after work 2 hours back and forth to see my colleagues. Possibly I like to see my colleagues, I want. But can I invest the 2 hours, or I better spend them with my wife, my kids, my grandkids, or my dogs, or whatever? I totally agree to that. And the next thing you brought it up, I think it's really important, is how I submit the message. I mean, it's in everything, right? I can tell people to do something, or I can tell them why we are doing it. And I think with a good reasoning, people are much more open to understand it. So that's a really important topic.
I agree with that. And on the same side, if you understand why somebody needs something or why somebody does what they do, you have a better understanding of it. And yeah, I think that's phenomenal.
Yep. And it's what you guys said earlier. In your screening, you are already quite open with it and let the people know, yes, it's hybrid. It's fully remote. It's not remote. And I mean, people know, and then people can make their own decision. And if somebody don't want to work on site, that's fine. But I see as well, and that is what you said, more and more the opinion from team members that said, oh, I like to come back to the office. We don't have an office. I miss it to get together sometimes over a coffee, where some people say it's wasted time. I don't believe it is wasted time. That is where some of the brightest ideas in my career started. It's a good
Oh,
thing.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a firm believer. You don't really know somebody until you break bread with them, right? And you could, like we've had it. When we were in fully COVID, and people would start here, and you'd meet them over. You do our stand-up meetings. You talk to them about this, that, the other thing via Teams for weeks, months on end, and then we do like a function. You'd be with them for 8 hours, and you'd learn more in that 8 hours than I did the last 5 months. And it gets people everybody rowing the boat in the right direction. Is ultimately what you're here for.
Yeah. And I think it offers a really good environment in the office. Like I learned more from listening and sitting next to somebody of how they do things, how they approach a situation than training ever taught me. I mean, I think, you hear something happen or you see something happen and you can walk down 3 cubes or 2 offices and say, hey, how would you handle this? Is way better than, having to team somebody or call them and hope they answer the phone.
That's true. So where do you see, I mean, possible as well, not a one fits all answer, but where you see the biggest gap? Is it skills? Is it mindset? And mindset can be employee, like employer. Onboarding, expectations. What is your opinion about it?
That's a good question.
Again, I think you kind of already intimated there, JR. Like, it's painted with a little bit of a broad brush, but I would say it's still a candidate-driven market. There's still certainly in the manufacturing tech space, there's still more jobs than there are candidates, and there's still companies in the archaic mode of this is our process. We do 3-4 rounds of interviews. We take 3-4 days between interviews to give feedback, things of that nature that really slow the process down. Is, I think, one of the biggest gaps that we're seeing, where the companies that hire with intentionality of, yep, like the resume, this is why we like it. Let's set them up and give timely, detailed feedback. Because, at the end of the day, if people go through an interview process and at the end they don't get the job, but it's a very positive experience, and one of their colleagues goes, hey, I interviewed here. Oh, or so this guy reached out to me. What do you think? Oh, that was a terrible process. Don't work for them. Or, yeah, it was great. I mean, I didn't get the job. It ultimately wasn't for me, but, went through the process quickly. Your name in the market is gold at the end of the day. So I think the companies that realize that, internalize that, and use that as part of their mantra when they're hiring and bringing people in, I think that's like the biggest gap. There's not enough companies doing that.
I agree.
I would agree. I think it was very well put. I also see a gap in expectations. Everybody wants, for an example, 3 to 5 years of experience. Well, if everybody in the world's hiring 3 to 5 years of experience, there's only so many people that have that. So I think understanding what you're looking for in evaluating really what's driving the need. Do I really need that 3 to 5 years of experience because I need the experience? Or can I train that experience? Can I teach that person? I think that's one of the biggest gaps I've been seeing lately is, are you willing to train if they have the right soft skills and aptitude or attitude?
That is fair. And as I say, I talk a lot about expectations. We all have them, right? But if we don't share them, it's my expectation. And I cannot expect Hunter or Scott or whoever have the same expectation or understand and follow my expectations. And what you just said, I don't remember anymore which programming language it was, but somebody applied for a job with that language, right? And had 5 years experience. I'm not sure if it was 5, but they wanted 15. But unfortunately, that guy invented that language 5 years ago. So, I mean, it's something you cannot have. It's a possibly not funny, but somehow funny example
It is.
of nonsense, sorry, expectations. It's I don't want a person that is over 40 years old but 25 years experience in the business. Can get complicated. So
Oh yeah, we had a situation a few months ago where a client wanted a really young upstart candidate with a antiquated software, Siemens S7, which like hasn't been used on the global platform in probably 15, 20 years, but he wants a kid with 3 to 5 years doing it. And then the conversation goes down. Well, if a kid came out of school working on an antiquated software, why? Right. So it's one of those interesting things you bring up there.
Yeah. I see it on myself. I don't want to say I'm a programmer anymore, but I was hopefully a quite good one. What people can do these days, and I don't say young or old, but in programming is clearly what I cannot do because I'm not doing it on a daily basis. But I think I'm quite good into spotting the error or have an idea why the error is there because I have a long time experience in it. And that is what a lot of people forget about that things. It's every coin have two sides, right? So overall, I think what we can get out of it, right? It's that we all are in a market where we need to see and approach lifelong learning. And that as well, like we said before, in mixed ways, really based on our customer, based on our candidates, but the market is shifting. So it's not a one size fits all. It's like I say, it's really, I don't want to say a candidate market. I think it's a mixed market, but candidates need to understand, I'm back to expectation from hiring companies and the same way around. And if they both talk open or have, and that is the important thing, a good middle man or lady company like you guys between it, it can really help. I think it really can help to bring people hiring or hire more onto the same expectation line. That is why you guys are specialists in what you are doing. What do you think about that? It's
I would agree. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, I would agree. I would say, the market's a living, breathing thing. It changes every day. It evolves. It expands. It contracts. So hiring processes should follow it. I do think there needs to be structure and framework in place. It says, hey, this is kind of what we're gonna do. Set expectations, right? Like I'm big with expectations, like you said. But I do think you've got to understand what's actually happening in the marketplace, and I think that's where we really add value to places. Is your day to day isn't hiring. You're not hiring somebody every day. Where Scott and I are. We're looking at resumes. We're talking to the market. We kind of know what's going on. So when people come to us and they say, "Hey, I need this," we can give them real time answers, not something that's maybe a little dated or just a thought. It's like, no, this is actually what's going on, and here's the intel to support that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I see it from a consultant standpoint, and I can see it from both sides. Hiring consultants and be a consultant, and frequently hear, oh, another consultant. Yeah, it makes sense sometimes, but if you see other departments, people support it as a strategic tool, sometimes it has a completely different taste. And that is how I see staffing companies. I work with them. It's a strategic tool in my toolbox that I sometimes need and where I can learn from and where I can really benefit from. And that is the same with consultants. It's the same like an HR department. It's the same like a finance department. Do you always like them? Possibly not. That's fine. But they are there for a reason, and it's a tool that everybody should be able to use. And if you see it this way, it has a completely different taste than another staffing agency, another consulting agency. So it's back to expectation. Let's switch gears a little bit. What is one of the weirdest or funny thing you have seen more or less in staffing? The placement gone wrong or any unexpected way? I mean, don't put somebody on the silver plate, right? But what is really one funny thing you guys have seen in your career in all the years?
I mean, there's so many. Somebody should write a book on them one day. But one that comes to mind is it was just funny. We were working with a client, came across a candidate who looked really good for the role. Went through it. He's like, "Yeah, I'm interested." Told him about the company. He's like, "Oh, it's that company. Oh, tell him they might, And then he named like the two like the CTO, the CEO, and the VP of engineering. Oh, yeah, they're great. They're great. I got a great relationship with them. I'll definitely be a shoo-in for the job. So we send the resume over, assuming like it's basically going to be like, yep, we like the guy, get him started. And they respond and basically say, this is the worst engineer we ever had. So the idea that this guy was going to use these as references, and they said he was, the worst candidate. It was kind of an interesting situation, just kind of seeing people have a much higher regard for their worth and their value than what they really are. So that was a different one. That was the first and only in my career for something like that.
I got that. And you, Hunter?
To pick one, I was Scott. Should probably write a book at some point, maybe. Yeah, I think mine would be very similar to that, in that like I've had a handful of candidates. I work with very large OEM client, and people have come and gone throughout the years. And I love when I see them on the resume. I'm like, hey, they're like, yeah, they would welcome me back with open arms. Okay, and then you call and you're like, hey, talk to so and so, and they're like, I would run as fast as you can. I would not attach my name to it. And it's like, oh, okay. Thank you for that. And it's just funny how we as people sometimes have rose-colored glasses on what really is going on.
Yep.
And we're oblivious to our shortcomings.
That is one thing why I like video calls, not for everything, but sometimes to see then the face from your counterpart, it shows a lot.
Well, without a doubt.
No, but I can second that. It's I have not changed much companies in my years, but sometimes company names, right? And I had the same experience. Somebody applied for us at company ABC, right? And I tried to set up an interview, and people are not responding, ghosting you, told you some funny nonsense stories, right? And you say, okay, no, I don't think it's a fit. Sometime later, the same person applied to the same name, only with a different company name, and is doing exactly the same in the interview. I mean, you got already in the interview and say, oh, no, that's not a fit, whatever. Okay, let's give them a second chance. Let's see if they realize it, and it's same story. I don't like to laugh on people, right? And I'm not doing that, but sometimes you are sitting there, need to put your camera out and shake your head and say, honest, please don't do that again. So let's do a quick lightning round at the end for you guys. Coffee or energy drinks?
Coffee.
Okay, we are all the same. I don't like energy drinks. Somehow they make my heart pump too much.
How do you like your coffee?
Only black. I'm a quite
Not
straightforward guy.
1000%.
I always need to be careful to take as well water, otherwise I drink too much coffee. Yes. That is one of the plus and minus in the office. You have a quite good coffee maker that produces a lot of coffee, so for you forget drinking water. But you see, I put it at least on the table. Most underestimated job skill.
I don't know if you could count it as a skill, but the fire in the belly, somebody's willingness, like you said, a lifelong learner. So if somebody, again, the people are amazing when they can accomplish anything if they put their mind to it. So if somebody with determination, I guess, would be the easiest way. Discipline, determination, something along those lines.
It's a skill. It's even in Maslow, and it's one of the importance. I go with the same. If you want to learn something, you have the ability most likely to learn it. But if you are lazy, you can be the smartest guy in the room, but it's complicated.
Won't be for long.
Yeah.
Won't be for long.
Answer you?
Ability to think on your feet. Think of what we do. Scott alluded to it way at the beginning of this thing. We saw a product that walks, talks, thinks on its own, does what it wants. So how many times have we answered a phone call that's, not gone our direction, and to be able to pivot, find the positive, and build off of that is huge.
Good is that we all think in soft skills. I have the same. For me, the most important, and it's really not a skill, but you can confine it as is honesty. It's one of the most important things. If I ask you something, I want a real answer. And it's not a problem if you say, I don't know yet, we need to find out, I need help. We can all do that thing. but telling me you got it and it's not done makes it so much more complicated for all of us. Selling me skills that you cannot provide, that makes it so much complicated. And then, I mean, I tell that everyone I work with, first you get 100% trust from me. That is why I am a leader. That is my position. That is my philosophy. You get 100%, and I will earn your trust. If you start lying to me, the trust is really, really quick away. And I don't like to be a micromanager and all this type of things, but your line will be much shorter than it was before without me asking where we are and where we are going. So, but as I say, it's soft skills are sometimes more important, and I think much more complicated to change than a lot of people believe.
Yep. We say it all the time.
Yep.
You can train hard skills, you can't train soft. And to your point, we always talk about it internally. There's a difference between being nice and kind, right? Nice is saying, JR, you look nice. But being kind is being like, you got some in your teeth, right? And again, to your point about the lying, it's, your culture. At the end of the day, you fall to whatever you allow.
Yep.
And that's something which we hold pretty dear over here at Davis. So completely agree there.
I'm not sure if I'm a nice guy, but I know I'm an honest guy, and I'm a fair guy. Yeah.
Well, that's a nice guy. That's nice in my world.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Nice is always relatively if you work with someone.
Yeah.
It needs to be fair, right? But sometimes possible it's not that nice if I say we need to change something. But you can say it in a nice way. You can say it in a productive way, and everything is good. But
you're being kind.
Exactly. So, so if someone listening right now, employer, student, what is one thing they should take away from today's session? What do you guys think?
I would think if you're an employer, my takeaway from this session would be, what's the market doing? What's my hiring process look like? Am I losing top talent because my hiring process is way too rigid and way too long? I think if I'm a student or I'm somebody out in the market, I'm targeting companies I want to work with, companies I want to work for, figuring out what those skill sets need to look like and investing heavily in myself to get those. And I mean, there's so many tools out there to do it for free now. I mean, I see them on my LinkedIn feed all the time. So-and-so got this certification. So-and-so did this LinkedIn training. Just showing that you have the initiative to do that training shows you're trainable, coachable. And now we're right back at those soft skills that are so much heavily weighted right now.
Scott, what do you think?
And I think, Hunter alluded to it, but I think on both sides of the coin, it's marketability, right? So at the end of the day, if I'm a hiring manager, how is my company looked upon in the market? Do I hire with intentionality? Do I promote with intentionality? Do we all row in the same boat? What is our culture like? What do we allow? And what, more importantly, what don't we allow? Right. And then on the candidate side, the marketability is like, what am I doing to make myself more marketable in my job? Am I upskilling? Am I keeping, an updated resume? Am I active on LinkedIn? Am I, being part of networking events, whatever the case may be? Am I being marketable? I think it's the easiest, just putting a bow on it there.
Yeah, I agree. If I put it in one word, I think it's credibility for both sides. That's one easy word with a lot of meaning behind it. And the other important thing, and you guys brought it out that good, it's not all about certifications. It's not about study. It's not all about experience. It really depends on the ask. And again, how credible you are as a person and as a lifelong learner. So I think that's really important thing. So everybody that is listening, hopefully keep that in mind. We will put key links as well in our post so that you can reach out to Hunter and Scott and to Davis Company, and as well to us, ADA PMX. If any questions about training academy, forklift demos, MSSC, partnerships, or even if you are searching for a new opportunity, go to Hunter Scott. I think they are more than happy to help you. Again, I only have good experience with them. So anything to add from you, Hunter, Scott, before we close for today?
I just want to say thank you again for allowing us to sit down and have this conversation with you, learn more. and kind of get us out into the marketplace and really do that.
Yeah, and I would just say, thanks again for the opportunity, JR, and Duada, and just, something that's near and dear to both mine and Hunter's heart, because we firmly believe what we do matters. So thank you again.
Yeah, thanks from my side as well for joining. I really appreciate it. Great session. We are 1 hour, 2 minutes, so quite good on time. Like we planned it. Until next time, guys, stay curious. As I say, please reach out to Hunter and Scott if any questions, or of course to myself. Stay certified. Thanks everyone for listening, and we talk next time.
Awesome. Thank you.
See you guys.